On a bright morning in April 2023, a normal day took a horrifying turn for a mother in Pennsylvania. Rachel King, a dedicated teacher and loving mother, was shot and killed in front of her young son. This tragic event left a family shattered and a community in shock. This is the story of Rachel King, her life, and the events that led to her untimely death.
The Philadelphia school teacher was shot and killed in front of her 11-year-old son at a Cheltenham Dunkin' drive-thru back on April 11th. Weeks later, two people identified by police as Zaki Stephen Al-Hakim and Julie Jean were arrested and charged with the murder.
Before we dive into this heartbreaking story, we want to hear from you. How do you think jealousy can affect people's lives? What would you do if you found yourself in a similar situation? Take a moment to think about it. And if you find this story impactful, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the True Crime Tales HQ channel. Your support helps us continue to bring awareness to important stories like Rachel's. Rachel King was a 35-year-old teacher at Grover Cleveland Elementary School in Philadelphia. She was known for her passion for teaching and her commitment to her students. Rachel was a bright light in the lives of those around her. She had a special bond with her son, Jalen, who was just 11 years old at the time. They spent a lot of time together, and Rachel was not only a mother but also a friend to Jalen. Rachel was in a relationship with William Hayes. They had been together for several years and shared a loving partnership. However, Rachel's relationship with William was complicated by his past affair with another woman named Julie Jean. This affair introduced tension into Rachel's life and created a complicated love triangle. Julie Jean had a romantic history with William that began before he met Rachel. Their affair caused many problems in Rachel's life, especially when she found out about it. Despite the challenges, Rachel and William decided to work on their relationship. They wanted to rebuild their bond and move forward together as a family. However, Julie Jean struggled to accept the end of her romance with William. After he broke things off with her, she began to contact both William and Rachel frequently. This behavior escalated into harassment, as Julie tried to remain a part of William's life, even though it was clear he wanted to move on. Julie's relentless pursuit of William affected both him and Rachel. Rachel felt uncomfortable and anxious due to Julie's actions. Things came to a head when William decided he could no longer tolerate the situation. In December 2022, he filed for a protection from abuse order against Julie. This legal step was meant to protect himself and Rachel from Julie's unwanted attention. Instead of calming the situation, this order seemed to fuel Julie's anger and jealousy. She felt rejected and vengeful toward Rachel, whom she saw as the barrier to her rekindling her relationship with William. In the months that followed, Julie's jealousy grew into a dangerous obsession. She began to plot against Rachel in secret. Around mid-February 2023, Julie reached out to a man named Zaki Al-Hakim. Zaki was related to the father of Julie's children. He became an unwitting accomplice in her plans. Their communication shifted from casual chats to discussions about carrying out a scheme against Rachel. Julie and Zaki began meeting regularly to discuss their plans. At this point, think about this. What signs of jealousy or obsession have you seen in relationships around you? How do you think those can escalate if left unaddressed? Evidence collected from Julie's phone showed that she communicated with Zaki frequently. They met in person multiple times leading up to the murder. And during these meetings, Julie provided Zaki with pictures of Rachel. Zaki saved these pictures on his phone, which would help him identify Rachel when the time came. They also exchanged screenshots of Google Maps that pinpointed Rachel's apartment. This showed how carefully they prepared for the act they intended to commit. The next step in their plot involved acquiring a vehicle that would be used during the attack. In March 2023, just weeks before the tragic event, Julie purchased a Mercury Sable from a dealership in Philadelphia. This car would become Zaki's getaway vehicle on the day of the incident. The choice of this particular vehicle was significant. It enabled them to blend in while following Rachel without raising suspicion. Surveillance footage later revealed that this Mercury Sable was seen near Rachel's home multiple times leading up to April 11th. This indicated that Zaki had been stalking Rachel, observing her movements and learning her daily routine. On the morning of April 11th, 2023, Rachel planned to take her son Jalen to his violin lesson. Before heading out, they stopped at their local Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast. Rachel and Jalen arrived at the Dunkin' Donuts in the Melrose Shopping Center around 7:30 a.m. Rachel pulled into the drive-thru lane, completely unaware of the danger lurking just moments away. At that same time, Zaki Al-Hakim was nearby, parked in the Mercury Sable. He had followed Rachel from her home to the Dunkin' Donuts, ready to carry out the horrifying plan that had been in the works for weeks. Zaki parked his light-colored sedan a short distance behind Rachel's vehicle in the drive-thru lane. He exited his car and approached Rachel's SUV without hesitation. In a shocking act of violence, Zaki opened fire through Rachel's driver's side window. He shot her multiple times while Jalen sat in the back seat, terrified and confused. The sound of gunfire shattered the morning calm, leaving Jalen in a state of horror as he witnessed his mother being attacked. After firing several shots, Zaki quickly returned to his vehicle and fled the scene, driving eastbound on Cheltenham Avenue. Emergency responders arrived at the scene shortly after receiving calls about the shooting. They found Rachel slumped over in her seat behind the wheel of her SUV. Despite their best efforts to save her life, Rachel King was pronounced dead shortly after being found. The tragedy unfolded in front of her young son, who remained physically unharmed but deeply affected by the loss of his mother. In the days following this tragic event, investigators worked tirelessly to piece together what had happened. They quickly identified Zaki as the shooter and began searching for both him and Julie. The impact of this event rippled through the community as friends, family, and colleagues struggled to come to terms with such a senseless act. Following Rachel's murder, law enforcement quickly mobilized to investigate the crime. Detectives arrived at the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru and began gathering evidence. They collected 6 spent shell casings found on the ground near Rachel's vehicle. This crucial evidence would later help link the crime to the suspects. Surveillance footage from Dunkin' Donuts provided vital information. It showed Rachel's SUV in the drive-thru lane and captured Zaki's light-colored sedan parked nearby moments before the shooting. The video depicted Zaki exiting his vehicle and approaching Rachel's car, where he opened fire without hesitation. In addition to the video, detectives analyzed cell phone data that revealed communication between Julie and Zaki. They discovered that Julie had deleted 787 text messages just minutes before being questioned by police. However, investigators were able to recover many of these messages, which included conversations about their plan to harm Rachel. One significant message sent by Julie to Zaki shortly before the attack was a payment through Cash App. This payment was accompanied by an emoji suggesting urgency and secrecy. Investigators also found images of Rachel on Zaki's phone and a screenshot of a Google map showing her apartment complex. This evidence indicated that they had been stalking Rachel for weeks, gathering information on her daily routine and movements. The investigation quickly identified Julie Jean and Zaki Al-Hakim as the main suspects in this planned attack. On April 26, 2023, more than 2 weeks after the shooting, authorities arrested both individuals. Zaki was apprehended after crashing into a fence while trying to evade police in Philadelphia. He was already wanted in connection with another homicide that occurred just days before Rachel's shooting. During interviews with detectives, Zaki initially denied being involved in Rachel's murder. He claimed he was selling drugs at the time of the shooting. However, physical evidence and digital footprints contradicted his statements. The shell casings recovered from both crime scenes matched bullets fired from a privately built ghost gun, which investigators linked back to Zaki. Julie Jean was also arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy. She denied any involvement in Rachel's death during her interrogation, but could not escape the mounting evidence against her. Prosecutors described Julie as the mastermind behind the plot, driven by jealousy over her past relationship with William Hayes. As the investigation progressed, more details about the love triangle emerged. William Hayes became a key witness in the case. He testified about his relationship with both Rachel and Julie. He explained how he ended his affair with Julie and chose to commit fully to Rachel. William described the harassment he faced from Julie after their breakup and the lengths he had to go to protect Rachel. The trial began in November 2024, almost a year after Rachel's tragic death. The courtroom was packed with family, friends, and community members who came to support Rachel's family and witness the proceedings. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Kevin Steele, presented a compelling case against both defendants. They outlined how Julie had plotted with Zaki to kill Rachel out of jealousy after her relationship with William ended. The prosecution argued that Julie was the mastermind behind the plan while Zaki was the one who executed it. They explained that the two had spent weeks planning the ambush, gathering information about Rachel's routines, and even purchasing the vehicle used in the crime. Key testimonies played a crucial role in the trial. William Hayes took the stand to recount his relationship with both women. He described how he had an affair with Julie but ultimately chose to reconcile with Rachel. Hayes testified about the harassment he faced from Julie after their breakup, including receiving numerous calls and texts from her. He explained that he had to file a protection from abuse order against her due to her persistent behavior. The defense teams for both Zaki and Julie attempted to challenge the prosecution's case. They argued that there was insufficient direct evidence linking their clients to the crime. Julie's attorney tried to distance her from Zaki, suggesting she did not fully understand his actions or intentions. They questioned whether Hayes had indeed ended his relationship with Julie before she reached out to Zaki. On November 14, 2024, the jury reached a verdict against Zaki Al-Hakim and Julie Jean. Following the verdict, the judge proceeded to the sentencing phase. Both Zaki and Julie were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Rachel's impact on her community was profound. Friends and neighbors admired her kindness and dedication, not only as a teacher, but also as a friend and neighbor. Rachel's father, Alan King, shared his grief during a press conference following the sentencing. His words resonated with many who understood that no sentence could fill the void left by Rachel's absence. Jalen's well-being became a priority for Rachel's family after her death. Following the sentence, they explained to him what had happened in court. Jalen reportedly smiled when he learned that those responsible for his mother's death would face consequences for their actions. He felt better knowing they would not be able to harm anyone else. The tragic story of Rachel King highlights a broader issue that continues to plague society. Her story is not just about loss, it is a call to action for everyone to stand against violence in all its forms. Rachel King's legacy lives on through the memories of those who loved her. Her story is a reminder of the importance of compassion, understanding, and the need to address the underlying issues that lead to violence. As we reflect on Rachel's life and the circumstances surrounding her death, we are urged to consider how we can make a difference and prevent such tragedies in the future. Rachel King's story is a heartbreaking example of how jealousy and obsession can lead to devastating consequences. It serves as a reminder of the importance of seeking help and support in times of distress. The impact of her loss continues to be felt by her family, friends, and community, who remember her as a vibrant and caring individual. As we conclude this tragic tale, let us remember Rachel King, not only for the way she died, but for the way she lived. She was a dedicated teacher, a loving mother, and a cherished friend. Her legacy will continue to inspire those who knew her, and her story will serve as a reminder of the importance of love, kindness, and understanding in our lives. The fight against violence must continue. We must stand together as a community to support one another and ensure that no one else experiences the pain and loss that Rachel's family has endured. Let us honor Rachel's memory by advocating for a world where love triumphs over hatred and where every individual feels safe and valued. In the end, Rachel's story is a powerful testament to the impact one person can have on the lives of others. Her spirit will live on in the hearts of those who loved her, and her legacy will serve as a beacon of hope for future generations. Together, we can work towards a future free from violence where compassion and understanding prevail. Thank you for joining us in remembering Rachel King and reflecting on the lessons we can learn from her tragic story. If you found this story impactful, please like, share, and subscribe to the True Crime Tales HQ channel. Your support helps us continue to bring awareness to important stories like Rachel's. May we all strive to create a better world for ourselves and for those we hold dear.